My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, and I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
Today, it is that time again. We have to come up with our, year-end goals for ourselves. This year has been, a year for everyone.
It's been a year.
I'm sure.
I don't know. I think it's more like a decade. Feels more.
Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it?
Because I didn't do as much stuff as a decade.
Right.
However, it's every year we come up with, we have these things that we meant to do, and then we haven't done them. We just haven't done them.
Then you realize it's going to be December. It's like, what can I do before the end of December?
I just want to feel accomplished, okay?
We'll take
I accomplished something this year.
But mostly, since we are a drama podcast, and, well, sort of, I suppose that we're
Sometimes.
For lack of better, way of saying it, we're mostly a drama K-pop, podcast situation. We like to, focus on what we may have neglected in our drama watching, and talk about what are we gonna do in December? What are we gonna, listen, I think a lot of us aren't gonna be going to see family because of the old pandemic situation, which means we might have a lot more time than normal to devote to finishing off those watch lists.
To tell ourselves that we're gonna do that, and then probably not.
Well, yes.
To pretend to be intentional.
Yeah.
The intention is there.
Yes.
And that is only one very small bit of the battle.
So, what is everyone going to get up to?
I can start.
Yeah.
We can go in reverse order. This is Sky, in case people don't know my name, my voice. You know my name, probably.
Your voice.
So I was actually going to try to do this before this episode, but life. So I do want to go through I want to go through my MDL main lists, my main watch lists with a better fine-toothed comb a little bit, because at the moment I have 317 want to watch, and there is no way that I actually
want to watch that many.
Want to watch that many. Now,
right.
I can definitely get it under 300. I can promise that, but I think it'll probably be a lot less. I'm not going to be harsh about it. I'm still going to be very gentle on it, but I don't need to have that many. But that's just an example. My hold list is really, really big, because once I invest time in something, I feel bad for abandoning it. But I'm kind of working on redefining what hold means for me, what drop means for me. Because in the beginning, drop meant perma-drop. Like, only the ones that something was really amiss or really appropriate or something were ones that I was going to be willing to say I dropped. Well, so that's been changing, of course. Things like that. I need to actually, because I was starting to spend some time going through my want to watch list, but since it is 317 titles, reading through some of the synopses takes a bit of time. So
It
It
does.
Also, my one, because I'm not going to promise a ton of watch stuff. Well, I guess I can promise. I'm going to promise that I'm going to watch every bit of True Beauty when it comes out. That's just going to happen.
Well, we knew that was going to happen anyway.
That's my shoe-in watching.
So shocked.
Yeah. The one thing I'm going to try to promise myself, I do want to have either a big binge or little parts of binges in order to catch up with Tale of the Nine-Tailed. I haven't had time. And I haven't wanted to just do a one-off episode watch of it either. So I really want to catch up with that. I just haven't. But I think that'll be my main watch goal. But if you guys saw my MDL lists, they need some attention from me. And that is something I can do in little bits rather than devote binging hours on. So those are my goals. I know they're very small.
Hey, we don't need big goals, you know.
Yeah,
that means they're attainable.
You could have like one goal and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
So I'm like not really a goal setter. I live very in the moment. However, I have been like real bad at finishing lots of things. Not because I don't want to. It's just like, you know, I just haven't done it. And then, you know. So I want to like clear off some of my currently watching, which means I want to finish off the last 2 episodes of Dating in the Kitchen, the last 4 episodes of Find Me in Your Memory, the last 3 episodes of Oh My Baby, the last 4 episodes of The Gifted, and I'm on episode 4, 5, or 6 of Tale of the Nine Tails, and I would also like to complete that because I'm really enjoying it. It's just like I haven't really been in the vibe, and there's one last one. It's my magnum opus. Okay, I have the last 15 episodes of 122 episodes of Mom Has an Affair. I am going to finish because she still hasn't had that affair, so you know.
But you were enjoying that one, right?
I really like that one. It's just like,
will she have an affair or won't she? Find out in these next 15.
We're gonna find out, aren't we? Like, I don't know, maybe.
Still hoping for that party.
Yeah, Tale of the Nine-Tailed, I really, really enjoy it, but I feel like I want to devote full attention to it. Because on some level, a lot goes on in an episode. Like the mood of it and stuff. I don't know. Like, I feel like I really want to focus on it. Rather than when you're often like a fluffy drama, it's not like you really need to pay attention to the side character that maybe has a background and some mythology that you're not, you know. There's a little bit more to chew on with Tale of the Nine-Tailed.
It does seem to be a problem I'm seeing, not problem exactly, but across the timeline. Like, I see a lot of people who are like, but I really like it. Did I drop it? Like, I haven't watched it in a couple of weeks, but I like it.
Well, it wasn't on last week, so.
You know, there was somebody on the timeline was like, I guess I'm dropping it because, like, I haven't watched it in a couple of weeks. And people are like, it hasn't been on in a couple of weeks. And, okay, then I'm not behind at all. Okay, I'm fine. And I'm like, it's 1 week. I think you could catch up. But, like, I don't know. Like, there just seems to be a lot of people with that one that sort of get behind by a week or two. And then they're like, oh, have I dropped this? Like, I don't think I've dropped it. Have I, though? And you're like, if you still want to watch it, it's still there. Like, it didn't disappear. It's not like the old days when I was a kid and you had to watch a show when it was airing because there was, like, you know, there was no streaming service, kids. We didn't even have VCRs. Like, I'm telling you, it was tough times.
Yeah.
I very vividly remember, I think I was in 2nd grade. I always liked coming back to school on Mondays because the topic of conversation, like before class would start or whatever, I remember all the kids would talk about what they watched on TV over the weekend, and then it would be shared. You know, it'd probably be like a movie that was on one of the main network channels for kids or something. But I always liked that a lot for some reason. I guess it was like pre-training for being a certified Noona. I don't know. Let's talk about what we watched this week. But yeah, I remember because back then it was more of a communal thing, even amongst kids, to like discuss. Did you watch Wizard of Oz when it was on this week? You know, like that was the time we would talk about.
When I was growing up, we had a television, but we didn't have any channels on it. All we had was a VCR. We lived in the middle of nowhere, and so we did not have TV. But the girl up the street, I was friends with the girl up the street, and she had a satellite dish because cable was not available. So we had like a deal where I would give her a VHS tape, and she would tape the shows that I wanted to watch for me over the week. And then on Monday, when the bus would pick us up, she would hand over the VHS tape. And it was Crystal, if you're out there, you were the real MVP of my childhood.
She was your hookup.
She was. No, she got me like Roswell. I was addicted to Roswell. That show. And Dark Angel. Does anyone remember Dark Angel? That was a good show. Well, the first season of that was a good show. It sort of lost its plot thread in season 2, but season 1 stands up. She was. If you're out there, Crystal, thank you.
My mom had no television when she was growing up because Mennonite, they didn't, have TVs. But when she was in high school, like, she was a little bit rebellious, but she didn't start high school until she was like 18. So because you dropped out after grade 8 and helped look after your little brothers and sisters and, get a job to help with the house and, whatever. And then when she was an adult, she could go back to high school. So, but she had to have a job to contribute. So she got her bus license, drove the school bus, picked up all of her friends in the neighborhood, drove them all to school, went to school, and then drove them all home, and that was her job. But she would she had friends at high school who were not Mennonite. She would go hang out at their houses so she could watch TV. She kind of knows the pain there.
Yeah, our babysitter had a television who was up the street, so we would just be like, "Okay, we're going to Cheryl's house," and it would be like, "Please let us watch cartoons." We have nothing.
My husband likes to tell the kids the horror stories of when we were kids, if I missed a week, I just didn't know what happened.
And they were major cliffhangers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Someone would just have to tell you what happened, and you would just have to.
Or you'd have to wait for it during the summer to rerun because that's also you didn't have new stuff for a big chunk of time.
Am I just dreaming, or did the TV guide, wouldn't it kind of at least say?
Yes, you would have to subscribe to the TV Guide magazine to get, because there was no option to look at it on TV. There wasn't before that.
Yep.
And they tell you what episode it is, or sometimes if you were watching it at the end of the episode, the network would say what was going to be the next one, or if you were really into things, it would be you could tell, X-Files used to do it, where they would do arcs that you could tell that would be the next part of the arc, which would still have a couple of episodes missing in between, but you'd figure it out. But yeah. Rough times. Now look at us, just sitting online and watching it whenever.
I think that not having seasons thing is one of the hardest things to get used to once you get into Asian dramas. That there's not a television season and then you get a break. There's just always new shows coming out, and you're I need to catch my breath. Just chill out for a minute, please.
But also, when people start talking about Western television shows again, or actually so I guess Penthouse, they're gonna have 3 seasons of Penthouse, the K-drama Penthouse, and I was like, that is a lot of seasons you guys are just putting out there.
Listen, if I wanted to watch multi-season television, I would have stuck with American TV. Right?
Yeah. It gets hard, especially when not to say that K-dramas don't do it, but there's a greater chance that things will be wrapped up and there's no longing for a storyline to stop. And yet that in a Western TV show, producers and network executives will be this brings in the new people, so focus on that. And you're 6 seasons of this one thing, because I watch a lot of the crime type dramas on Western and everywhere, but there's always that kind of trope that I hate, and it's always when there's a new person who's in charge, they always are like terrible the first like couple of episodes, and then it dissipates and everybody loves them after that.
Yeah.
And like, so you have that all the time with the same show. Like if the actor leaves or like if the character is killed off, and like, yes, there are tropes obviously in K-dramas, but like at least it could be a trope that's delivered by a different person in a completely different storyline. Like it's not the same like people, and you're like,
it would be as if
I've been invested 4 seasons of this. I should just get a pass on all this now. Like, it just shouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's like there's been 6 trucks of doom in this show already. Like, let's just not do that.
Like, let's pack it up, shall we?
Well, and you think like in that that situation that you're talking about, Jesse, you like that character. So over 6 years has shown 0 character growth. Like they've like they still it's a new person, so I hate them. Like okay, but like you learn to like the last 5 new people. Maybe
the thing. The like trope is. I guess it's just like it's harder when it's like a trope with the same exact show as opposed to it being a completely different show. It like it kind of helps it a little bit in a way, unless it's like a trope you really hate. Then of course K-dramas love their tropes, so you're not getting around it.
I think that's our thing too. So you invest so much time into one series, and then if let's say they misstep really bad and you get to where you just can't handle watching it anymore, you're like, I did devote years to this one show. Like that's what I kind of keep seeing all the poor Supernatural fans talking about.
Oh, they're losing it. They're losing their minds this week.
I'm sorry, it's a bad time for you. I'm like glad that Supernatural came out like when I was in college and I was a theater major and also working and didn't really have like access to television for like most of Supernatural's life. I'm so glad that that was a thing for me because I didn't have to devote any time on it and I would be where we all are, everyone else
it's like, is. I watched the first couple of seasons, but then when it just kept going, I was like, okay, I get it. Okay, moving on.
That's just like today. I saw the trending, and I was like, what is this trending? And I was like clicking it thinking it was going to be something else and something a little bit more meaningful, and it was a Supernatural thing. And I was like, oh, no.
Because it was something about being silenced. Like, it
was
very,
like they were silent
serious.
or something. And I was like, oh, could this be a thing that, like, people are bringing awareness to something? And, like, that's what I assumed it was. And then I clicked on it, and then it was, like, Supernatural.
So yeah, if you were devoted to a show for like a decade, and then if they just misstep severely, be it the last seasons or the last few episodes, you know, like Lost, you know, like so many people are invested.
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, like, the last season of How I Met Your Mother was rough.
It was so rough. And we had like I have a group of friends who were really into it, and we're all like, why?
Yeah. Like, at least with the K-drama, if the last episode tanks the whole story, it's 16 episodes that you, like, you know, and, okay, that sucks, but, like,
and then you go lick your bones to watch something else. Like,
yeah. You're like, oh, well,
a
this will be
decade
over
of my
in 16
life
episodes.
that I dedicated.
Yeah, they're really, like, none of the shows are long enough to, like, become this sort of huge cult following that some of these multi-season shows are. Yeah. So you can just, like, move on.
we can cut losses a lot more easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Like, especially if you're into a show and then, like, it's been, like, 6 seasons and you're completely, like, devoted to it, and there's this, like, massive cliffhanger and everybody's like, oh my gosh, and then they get canceled. And you're like, now the ending of the show is this cancellation and this, like, where you don't have a resolve. Because most of the time they don't even get to have a resolve. It's like, nope, bye.
That is the plight, definitely, of a Western sci-fi TV show.
Sci-fi, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't experience
Netflix will get it.
Yeah, I didn't experience it with Firefly because I was in college during Firefly. But my husband and I got into a few shows a few years back, and sure enough, like,
Firefly.
It's like maybe
Firefly.
Yep.
Oh, Firefly.
And I think I just always think they should learn to not do cliffhangers.
Yeah.
When they're not gonna finish them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, especially now, like they don't have to. I understand back when you literally could not watch any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's an understanding. It's to get you to come back for the next season because there's no other like pool. But like now, you don't need to have like those cliffhangers at the end.
No.
Yeah, just examine your audience. Like the types of people that are watching, they're devoted to the show. They'll watch your show. It's okay.
I find that's one of the big struggles I've been having this year with C dramas is that a lot of C dramas, like the whole show, the whole arc completely wraps up, and then like the last maybe 10 minutes of the last episode, they'll introduce something new. Like, because they're hoping that they will get a second season out of it, or they're, and so they'll do that to like, hopefully if enough people are watching and, we convince you. And I'm like, just don't do that. Please just don't. Just stop. Like, I just want you to wrap it up and be done. And then if I get a second season, yay. If I don't, fine.
Yeah. I think it's hard when that happens because, like, I know that I personally, like, when those things happened, if I ever heard from the creators of blah, 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 I'm like, well, I know how that ended, so I guess I'm not watching this show. And so, like, there's got to be a lot more people who do that, like, do it. Like, I don't know. I guess it goes back to our thing that, like, I found out this year is that the world isn't as money motivated as I had expected it to be. Like, in terms of things, I was like, you could get more money that way, but okay.
You do you.
Yeah, make that 7-year-old white man figure out things. Sure, okay. That seems like a great idea. Sure.
Or even, like, with the drama things, it's like, wow, you could have probably had most of your viewers pretty happy, but you decided to pull what you pulled. Probably not a good...
Okay, that's a bold choice to make, but...
You're like, we're gonna put a conflict the last 2 or 3 episodes, and then end the story. It's like, maybe don't do that.
Like, people do get frustrated enough to just, like, quit it. They're not gonna just, like, stay around for the resolve too. Like, you actually can't guarantee that they like love it that much. They might just go, well, I guess I'm just leaving it. Bye.
And then definitely in the world of streaming now, so like that recently evidently happened with a show I was on the fence about finishing, and they didn't tell me the end, but they said that that type of introduction of conflict at the last 2 episodes thing happened. And I was like, oh, well, I was on the fence. Now I'm going to hop off that fence. I'm not doing that. Forget it.
Yeah, they just don't think about, like, how the internet is going to react. And then, like, so people will tell other people and be like, yeah, don't. And then, like, people just drop off. Like,
Well, I mean,
and it's like, they should really think about that because that's a very common thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching rom-coms, C-drama rom-coms, if you're 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through and the couple is happy, you should probably just stop there. And just like be like, yep, okay, cool. Because they're going to introduce a workplace conflict or a horrible parent-in-law or a truck of doom or something stupid that's completely unnecessary. Some ex-girlfriend's going to like try to kill herself and he's going to feel guilty. Like, it's, completely unnecessary. They are not going to give you those last 4 to 6 episodes of just happy blissfulness and like conflict with their friends. No, they will not do that. So walk away.
So, there used to be a certain arc of it to where, it would be 2/3 of the way through. There would be that would be when the random conflict would arise out of nowhere. So I guess maybe they shifted that. Or did a second wave at the end.
I think they're trying to push for seasons, which is like, I obviously don't know what like the Asian audiences want, but like most of the draw of like the international audiences is that they don't want that. So I don't know if like that factors into like their perceived like ratings of things, like, or like how many people have been watching it, that like it's not all the one group that would actually be okay with it. So it's like their numbers are not matching what is actually happening per, like, if you actually studied it. I don't know about that. But it also seems like they always have just, like, a checklist of things they have to do. And then they get to that, like, 4 episode and they're like, oh my God, we, like, didn't do 5 of them. And we can't get the money if we don't do these 5 things. And so then they just put it there because they just randomly think people are, like, super into it. And, like, everybody, like, even, like, their audiences are like, we didn't actually say that we definitely needed this. It's just there always.
It's like nobody wanted this.
Like,
you're the only ones who wanted this.
That's it, because we're not the ones writing it, but, like, we never said keep going with it. It was just like,
yeah, just because we discussed these 3 tropes doesn't mean they need to be in it. So maybe don't shovel them in on the second to last episode. Just a thought.
Let it go, man. Let the story end. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We promise. The Noonas promise. It'll be fine.
We're all you need to, like, talk to. Like, seriously, just come to us first. It's okay.
We got you, fam. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like, is there nobody in the industries, like, in Korea, that they could just, like, run their final couple of scripts past? Like, hey, we're thinking about going this direction. What do you think? No. Don't. No. Just stop.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Not the, like, the male that's in charge of the company. Like, actually talk to someone who's actually watching those dramas in your country. Yeah. Like, I'm sure they will tell you something completely different.
Right. Yeah. You're like, who is your sounding board? You need to change that sounding board. Yeah.
It is wrong.
You know, like, I imagine it's like, well, like, I don't really watch TV, but it seems like this would be a good way to, like, that's not the person.
No.
And yeah, are you in the demographic of who's watching it all? No.
Yeah.
Move on.
But it does, I mean, and I haven't watched a ton of these dramas, but the few that take a small peek into drama writing characters, like as far as the characters that are drama writers, and they kind of hint at the fact that, you know, the writer will have something in mind, but then some random male higher up is like, you're going to do it this way. And they're like, no, that's going to totally break the story. Like, that's not going to work. Tough cookies, you're going to do it.
It's pretty standard everywhere because it's, like, money driven. So it's whoever's on producing and whoever's owning the company, because they're technically a producer because they put in money into it, even though it's, like, through the company or whatever. But yeah, and it's usually run by people who don't know anything. And, like, it happens everywhere because as a big fan of Criminal Minds, I actually know that happened to, like, a lot of things. Like, that happened on Criminal Minds, and they had such a strong fandom that, like, things were overturned. But it was like the showrunners were like, definitely, we did not want that character gone. We were literally not the ones to do it. And then the actress was like, literally, they weren't the ones to do it. I can tell you exactly who it is. And, like, stands picketed and stuff. And, like, yeah. They were very vocal, like, and that's part of why I love Criminal Minds, because the cast is pretty legit. But yeah, it was done by people who obviously didn't, like, care because they wanted more guys or whatever in the show. And then, like, the whole entire audience were like, no, actually, that's not what we want. Literally, that's not what we want. And we're really pissed off. And then finally they, like, after a couple seasons, they're like, okay, I guess JJ's back on, you know, like, silently let her back in. The actresses loved the character and the, like, show, like, on a whole enough to come back. They wouldn't have had that, like, happen to some other people. Some other people would be like, fuck you, I'm not working on your station again.
Yeah.
Unless I have an exclusive, like, contract with, like, CBS or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's annoying.
What are your goals, Jessie? We know that you have,
we did, like, a
little
break.
Goals.
Yes. I actually have, like, a challenge that I've already started, like, at the beginning of November. It's pretty lofty. So I have, like, a year-end goal of kind of getting through some of my watch lists. And, like, I have 3 different, like, categories, like, essentially it is. It's I want to keep up with anything that's like airing, and then watch like my on hold, but it like to focus on like 2020 dramas. And then if I want to, I can like go into like the general on hold or some other shows that I want. So like I have a bunch of shows, but like already I've watched 4 on my list for the past month. So there's a potential that I could do this. And a lot of it's like done also because of blog purposes, like for like a wrap up of the end of the year and wanting to, that's why like 2020 dramas are like specific. Airing stuff, Nine-Tailed is currently the only one that's airing right now as of this recording, but like Uncanny Counters coming soon, Awaken, Manner of Death, Detention, the series, Sweet Home, and Alice in Borderland are all coming. I don't know if any of those will be good enough for me to keep up with too, like, so they're there. I have like Nobody Knows and The Game, Towards Zero, and She Knows Everything. Like there's a couple of like 2020 options, but then I also have like things that I started and I just wanted to get it done because that was like the major thing. I wanted to get some of the like on hold stuff done because I already went through my drama list to kind of go through that. But like I have like Lucifer, which is just like sitting there at episode 11 that I could finish, and that would be great. But that's like a 2007 drama, so I'm also like, whatever. But like I also have like other dramas like that are 2020 that I could like potentially watch too. So I'm like trying to like factor it in. Like I have like a rough list, but I also have kind of options. Like there's a lot there, but that also means that like if maybe I don't get to something, I got to another thing because I have like 10 other options. But I guess it's working because I already watched all those other 4 and it motivated me to be that way. But yeah, that's like the big thing. I really wanted to kind of focus, and then obviously like most of my stuff is crime and drama, so that's kind of where I like focused my energy too. I was like, I'll just watch all the 2020 crime and dramas. There's other things like Netflix is getting The Guest on the 1st, which is also a pool because like I could have watched it any time because of things. Yes. But Netflix means that I can put it on my TV, which then means that I'll probably watch it because it's so much nicer to watch things on my TV than it is on like a computer screen. Like, like, so that's like a motivator. And then I'm like, well, what if I just like end up watching that? And I'm also kind of that person that just binges stuff at random too. Like there's this series that I'm kind of been working on. It's a Japanese series. Well, it's like a series. They're all 4 of the seasons are tied together. They're not really seasons because they're all like named differently. But like once you have to watch the first one, or you know who the killer is or who they're talking about through the rest of the 3. But those are only like 5 episodes a piece, and none of them are in 2020, but I'm like, I kind of want to finish that. So I could watch it then. But yeah, I don't know. There's like stuff. I am like very motivated in terms of like having options for a top 10 of 2020 list too, because that's also just what my brain does. Likes to do that, but I don't know. And it's not all of my on hold. I have a bunch of stuff on hold. I'm the type of person who can like keep something on hold for a year and a half and go back to it and be completely fine with it. Like
I'm the same, yeah.
So really my on hold is essentially just my list of things I'm going to get back to, and I wanted to keep that number like saved because like chances are like I have like at least 2 like dramas on that list that were on like Netflix and Viki that are gone now. And so it's like I don't have an actual like I can't just like depend on those services to like have kept where I was.
Right.
So that's kind of a thing. And then obviously I can go back whenever. That's what I did with Life. I didn't watch it I stopped it at like episode 4 or 5 like a year and then I like went back to it and finished it. What about you, Amanda?
Sort of a little bit, I think, of what all of you guys have talked about, like with Sky saying about like going through and clearing out. I already did the first half of my plan to watch list. I think it could probably stand a little bit more culling down, but like baby steps. So I have to do the second half of my plan to watch list and go through that. I think just to, I don't know, you get ambitious and you're like, ooh, I really like this actor, or I really like this writer, or whatever, and you put everything in the plan to watch, and then you're like, am I ever going to watch this? Is it even exist on a streaming service where I can find it? Like, I'm just going to, So I need to clear that out.
Yeah.
My big goal, I mean, okay, I started the year with everybody was doing those like bingo cards, like K-drama challenge bingo cards and different ones. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do these. And I'm going through these cards, looking at them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching 22 more K-dramas before the end of the year. So clearly I'm not filling this bingo card. But maybe I could get like a line. Maybe I could try that.
Bingo's technically only one line,
so
that's true.
Then
can you double up on it? I just double up on it at that point.
I mean, the reality is I could do whatever I want, right?
True.
The person who, for some of them, the person who started the challenge is like, try not to, double up.
Well, listen, I made the actual bingo card for it, so I say you can do whatever you want.
Well, then I'm probably good. Except for maybe not if there's historicals. I might need to do something there. And then there's like another one that was sort of all over, like it had J dramas and Thai dramas and stuff all on it. That one's a little bit better, but still like it has fewer challenges to it, but I think I've only got like 5 things off of that. Like, I have not been good at like going and looking at those lists and saying, oh, okay, like maybe I should watch something. Like one of the cards was even one that I made up myself of things that were on my plan to watch list that I was like, I'm going to watch these this year. And I've got 4 things off of that list. And I'm like, wow. And most of them are super short, like web dramas and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you could knock a bunch of these out. Like, you could just do it. Especially because I keep picking up new web dramas. Like, I keep just watching web dramas. So, like, why not watch the ones that are already on my list? Just go watch those ones. So, I don't know. I might try to, like, at least when I start something new, maybe try to have a look at the list first and not just get distracted by shiny, pretty new things. But in the actually doable, I'm going to go through my on hold list and clear it out. So not necessarily watch everything, but go through, watch like an episode of everything or put it back on and go like, okay, are you ever actually going to watch this, or like, are you done? And just kind of try to speed round it and just, it's either I'm either watching it or it's dropped. Like, I just gotta clear it out for the new year, have one list, one thing that I've accomplished, and like have it done. So that's my goal, because my on hold list, I think that was my goal last year and the year before, and it went from like 5 to like 10 to like 15. Like, it just keeps getting longer. It's not going away. So this year I'm just gonna.
Isn't that always the way though?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I think the cool thing about dramas as a hobby is how differently people see things like that. So yeah, one person, the way they use an on hold can be vastly different from somebody else, or even currently watching to someone might be literally what I'm watching this week versus this has been my currently watching for the past 3 months or this year. Yeah. I mean, everything is just very different between everyone. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's true.
Maybe it'd be kind of interesting to go through, like, and each of us tell like how we actually use, like, how do you use your currently using, like, each one of us.
That, and if it has changed, because I think that was something else I was going to say. Like, I know the way I approached dramas in the beginning, like how I watched them or whatever is vastly, different. And even this year, like a lot of the way I'm trying to do things I don't even know if it's been intentionally different, but because, this year makes you act a certain way. So like this year, this is what it's going to be type thing. And so that's something too.
Who wants to start?
I can, to go in order. Currently watching at the moment for me, it is now the thing that throws it off, I think, would be, if any of the reality or variety show things, because like I sometimes have those on there, and I've been kind of questioning taking those off because they kind of end up living there more often than not. So that kind of throws it off.
Yeah.
Because
I don't have them on. I can't do it. If I can't have the specific number, I don't want it. It's worthless.
Right. So because that's the thing, because sometimes it'll even be like a little K-pop reality show series, like even something that I'm kind of watching. It's just bothersome. Anyway, hard to explain if people don't know that struggle of either the variety show thing or whatever, because it's just you can never check it off is pretty much what it comes down to.
Yeah, especially with like the series like Running Man, where you're like, this is like 300, so it's gonna be always at like 1 of 300. But like I could say I watched like 50 Running Man, but it was like throughout the years, so that's not a good representation. Yeah.
So that aside, because that's kind of a mess. I mean, the past few months, I really have kept a lot on my currently watching. A lot it hasn't moved off to hold, except for when I was trying to prep for this specific episode. And in case anyone listened to our what we were watching episode last time, and I talked about some of my struggles with some of my shows that were kind of having weird crud in it, like Minors or whatever, like that helped me. I just kind of dropped some, and like I kind of mentioned earlier, my definition of dropping is even going to change, so I'll visit that in a bit. But I'm trying to make it more what I'm currently watching, but I need to redefine my currently watching list probably, because for instance, there's Vampire Detective on there, because I keep wanting to watch it. As far as last time I watched it was probably, let's just guess February. Like, it was a long time ago. So that's an example of sometimes I'll have an affinity for a show that I really want to pick back up, and so I'll leave it there, and I'll keep leaving it there. Like, I'm gonna pick. So anyway, my currently watching list at the moment is kind of actually a mess. But what I want it to be is pretty much what I'm watching within a month or two. Like, it doesn't have to be this week necessarily. I mean, because I do go back and forth with shows especially if I'm not binging as much. Sometimes I'll fill in these few episodes and then go back to some others. So like I bounce back and forth between a lot of different shows usually. So I'm fine with it that way. Or do we want to just talk currently watching, or do you want me to define it?
Go through the whole thing.
You can go through the whole thing if you want. Yeah.
I didn't want to hog if that wasn't the way we were taking it. Actually, so I'm seeing the order it's on here. And is the next one planned to watch? I have too many on there because definitely when I was new to dramas, like I was putting everything on there. So that's why I really do need to go with a fine-toothed comb and probably knock a good 100 or more off pretty easily. On hold. So I habitually do watch a couple of episodes of a drama, and then I used to not say that I dropped it. So since I am redefining my on hold list, a lot of them needs to probably move to dropped, because my dropped is going to start becoming a softer thing. I used to just see it as a perma drop, like never pick it up again. Well, I only find that, again, for me, that's only necessary when, an actor does something horrific and you never want to see their face again. Like, that's a perma drop.
Right. Yeah. That's for me is perma dropped as well.
So, but I used to feel bad about the term drop like that for some reason. So, but no, like, the dropped is becoming much softer for me. So my list doesn't necessarily reflect my I was gonna say belief systems, but that's a little heavy-handed.
A little intense.
The way I define certain things at this point. And that's why I need to really go through with a fine-tooth comb. But On Hold, it is a bookmark for me, just kind of like what Jesse was talking about. I am pretty good about, or a lot of them I do want to pick back up again, really, realistically. Especially the ones, I mean, I might be halfway through some of these and I just haven't touched them in a year. But realistically, for instance, Bring It On Ghost is sitting there. Like, I mean, there's stuff that I'm going to pick back up again at some point for sure. So my On Hold is never going to be 0. In fact, it's always going to probably be a little large, but there are definitely some on there right now that actually belong in my dropped, because my On Hold at the moment is 97 long.
Oh.
But like, for instance, one of them is Waikiki Mikey's reality show. Like, it should just not be on that list. Like, the list is kind of a mess. And I've already talked about dropped. So my dropped list, it definitely used to be much smaller. At the moment, it's 20, and that's been an improvement for me. So next time we talk about this type of thing, it will be much larger. If I do drop something softly and I pick it back up later, no one's going to beat me up. It's okay.
No.
Yeah. It's not a competition. You can, no one but you cares if you pick something up, you know? Like.
Well, and I also feel like, you know, for instance, when I started watching dramas, I was way more into rom-coms. As an example. And so then I felt a certain way about all those shows, and I would just eat them up really quickly. And then one year I'll change how I view those shows. You know, I change the way I intake dramas pretty often. I'm a moody watcher too, so like if I'm not in the mood. Yeah. And life also changes to where you might not be binging 7 at one time like you once were. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is true.
And that's why it's not that I just need to go through mine with a fine-tooth comb, but even the past few months, definitely this year, you know, I've kind of changed how I watched a certain way just to deal with the stress, the kind of like ever-present stress of this year. And so it does make you reevaluate, like, what's bringing me joy. And that might change from week to week. So, you know, the type of show that might bring you joy might be a different type of genre or something. But going through this and being like, does that type of thing bring me joy anymore? Maybe not. Like, maybe shift it somewhere else. So I know that I didn't really have any exact answers to the topic.
That's fine.
My stuff is kind of a mess and it needs some help. But that's okay. Because 2020 is kind of like that.
Kinda, yeah.
The world is a mess and needs some help right now.
That's true.
So, when we discuss it, I hope that my stuff will be a little bit better. I will say that.
For me, so I'm like a little ADD. Amanda can tell you that my drama list is never accurate.
No.
Just never. I literally forget it exists most of the time. And then we'll get on the podcast and be talking about something on my drama list. And I'm like, oh yeah. But I mostly use it as a record of shows that I want to watch than shows that and then once I complete a show, I'll be like, oh yeah, I finished the show, and I'll go put that in. Mostly because I love the internalized pain I get when it tells me exactly how many days I've spent watching dramas in like the past 5 years. And I'm like, ooh boy. Ooh boy. But no, my currently watching is never up to date. So things are they're in currently watching, but I've either already watched them or haven't started watching them, or I meant to start watching them the day that I put them on and then forgot that I was going to start watching them and got distracted and watched something else. Yeah. But my have watched is usually fairly accurate, so if you want to find out what I have completed, then my drama list is great. It'll tell you up to like 2 months in the past. You know, like it usually takes me like 2 months to like update my database, as it were, with things I have watched. But I actually really like my drama list more for just like you know how when you like an actor in one show, and you're like, I wonder what else he's done. So then you click that, and you're like, okay, make a little list of the shows that I want to watch this person in. And then, yeah, so that's basically what what I'm in this for on the My Drama list front. I don't know if that's helpful. Probably not, but, it is what it is. Good. Am I right?
I think sometimes people, when you talk about it and they're not really into the database at all, they're like, oh, but I don't really want to use it that way. And you're like, you don't have to use it the way I use it. Like,
yeah, there's no rules here.
No, exactly. Like, just if it's helpful to you, then cool. Like, use it the way that is helpful to you. Or if it's not helpful, don't do it. But like,
yeah. I just have a bit of masochism with it. I like knowing how much of my time I've spent on it, and that's like my main motivation. And I'm always like, ooh, she does not see it. Ooh, no. I am in denial. I am in denial now.
Whereas for
now
me,
they give you even like more stats, and it's like, here's how much you watch per week on average this year.
Like,
here's how much you like it. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks.
Well, I will say
not as bad sometimes.
I will say for me that because definitely this year, by far, I have not completed very many dramas at all. Like, I can't tell you off the top of my head how many, but it has been a very, very low number so far. But as far as the amount of time that I've invested in watching,
very large.
It's a chunk of time. So, like, if I went and listed off the time that I have on my, like, on hold list, it's a lot of time. Like, so I can't pay attention to my toll very much because it bums me out. Because it's like, oh, it looks like I've watched, like, 10 or 20 dramas this year, which is, like, I know that's accurate, but as far as, but I watched, like, 14 episodes of that drama over there in the corner that's not done. Like, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
You like my drama list kind of for the research side, it sounds like, as far as...
I think that's, like, kind of my academic background coming to roost. I'm like, it's my footnote for dramas, not so much my to-do list for dramas.
Yeah. For me, my currently watching usually is what I'm currently watching. Like, I don't tend to put things that, like, if I'm not watching it after a while, it usually moves to my on holds. However, that currently watching could mean the last time I watched an Asian drama was 3 weeks ago. So there is that, but for the most part I tend to, like, kind of play with it much. And then I did, for just as a placeholder for me, the Japanese drama series I was talking about, I did put in the third one of the series just because they are different names. I didn't want to have to keep on going to the My Drama list. I mean, I could have written this down, but I never write it down. I would have to go to the My Drama list and then have to cycle through, like, the parent story, the sequel, the blah, 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 and then look at the dates. And I just, like, threw it in there as, like, a placeholder so I could see that's the one, because I have 2 more in the series left, so I couldn't just do it as a plan to watch, Also, because Japanese dramas are always in Japanese on My Drama list, and it makes it a little bit hard. So, currently watching is that. My on hold list is everything that I plan to watch at some point in the future, and it usually is just an on hold, like I said, for how many episodes I got into it, just so I don't have to keep a running list in a notebook and not rely on Netflix history or Viki history or whatever. Just that's what it is. And then my dropped is series I dropped. I'm not going back to them. Just not going to do it.
We're done here. You had your chance, series.
Yeah. Get out. For me, I like to do it just so I know which ones, and also I don't know. It's like if I needed to ever, just because I like data and stuff, I'd see where I dropped something too, if that was a thing. Okay, so plan to watch is more of a series that I saw that was interesting that I might get to. It doesn't mean that I'll get to them, but it's more like a bookmark instead of having it written down somewhere and then like losing that piece of paper. So like if someone were like, hey, you should watch this, then I could just like put it in the plan to watch and it's there in one little area. And if it's like 2 months later, I'll have never remembered the name. So
yeah,
it's there. So like plans to watch, probably half of them will probably never get a planned like get through, but it's just like there as like a written list. And then for my not interested, I don't use it as much as I should, but like my intention for not interested was always to put things that I definitely didn't want to watch any, or it had something in it that I wanted to avoid, just because I'll like forget about a thing. So say if there's a problematic actor, I will hardly ever remember someone's name. So it's more of a, you know how like if you go to the web page of the series, it'll say what you like you have it categorized. So I could like go to that page and then see not interested and immediately click out and not have to like worry about it.
Yeah.
That was my intention for it. I haven't really done much with it, but I probably will like be more vigilant with that too. And it's just like easier to like for new dramas that are coming out and everybody's like, oh, this and this, like this person like is terrible. I'm like, okay, I can put it in. And it's like also good for like those shows that kind of have the similar name to like other things. So you think it's one thing, but it's not. It's another thing. And especially for me, when I'm watching like crime dramas, I don't want to like know much of anything about the synopsis. So like reading what MJL says could be enough of a spoiler for me that I would not want it. So it's there for a thing. So like my drama list kind of for me is just literally so I can see things and I have one place to go to for that information instead of like having to write it down or anything. And I keep like with my watch list, it's up to date. And if there are any variety shows that I actually do finish, like so like say like a show like Roommate where it actually had a full season and it's like I watched all of it, I will track that. But like I'll never again like Sky, I just don't track Running Man because unless I could like it's easy. I know you can put it. Well, can you even do that? Like I know advanced you can put stuff in the advanced spot, but like if I watch number 378 of Running Man, if I'm gonna count it, it better be the number 378 Running Man. And so I can't just have it sitting there at 1 out of like 600 or however many episodes there are Running Man. Like I don't watch as much variety show as I used to, but like if it was like I used to watch them every week. So, and it's like an every week and it's never not going to be there. I just was like, I don't even want it on currently watching. Don't like clutter that up. Go away.
Right. Oh, one thing I will say. So once you mentioned advanced, I just kind of started using advanced because back when I started using my drama list, I'm not sure it was there. If it was, I was very unaware of it. But what got me is I always wanted to keep, after a while, I wanted to keep track of the date that I finished a drama. So I started, I think it was before Advanced existed, or I knew it was there. I started writing that date just in that like little note section, just so I would know if I ever needed to go look. But now since I see that Advanced, you can go put that on there, the beginning date and the end date. I definitely go put my end date there too.
To me, it's kind of annoying. I also have like an account on Letterboxd, which is like a movie tracker site, and it's like, I wish my drama list was this because like for me, I like all that data and like I'd like to see stuff and like with Letterboxd, when you can put in when you watched it and it's not like it's just there when you're rating it anyways, and it's not like you're clicking through things to get to it. But like there's a portion where then you go to your diary and then it will tell you like it will show like November and you can a list of everything you watched in November. And on top of that, it will tell you there's a spot when you're like going, maybe if you're rewatching a movie, there's a spot you can click and it will show that you've rewatched the movie. So it's not like you have it like there too. Like it used to be like November and I have like one movie and it had the little rewatch symbol. I'm like, that was a rewatch. So I know that. And it's
I will say,
so nice. Like,
I will say that's an advanced now. Have you seen that?
Is it? Okay.
On MDL, there is.
Oh yeah.
As
There's
far
a
as
rewatch.
as far as the little symbol showing up
I
and
want
stuff,
it to
I
be
doubt that.
exactly where
Yeah.
I pick my stars, and that's how it is on Letterboxd. Like, and especially if like it doesn't matter. Like for my drama list, it doesn't matter because there's no diary section that I can go to see exactly that actual like data. Yeah. And so
I wish
it
that
doesn't matter, but like I wish it did.
I wish that like at the very least when you clicked completed, it would put that date that you clicked completed in as the date you completed it. You know what I mean? Like it would fill in that section of the advanced for you or something. Like I just wish it would just keep track of that for me.
Yeah,
so I could know.
I don't understand that it doesn't do that because of like some of the other data stuff that they have. Like that, like it doesn't make like a letterbox thing that it does is that like everybody I'm friends with, it will have a little icon when I go to that like films thing. It'll have an icon and what they rated it, so I know like friends that have watched it and what they rated it. And if I like know my tastes are like them, I can know exactly if I'm gonna want to watch the movie or not. I wish my drama list had that too, where it was like you could go to a page and then see that like out of your friends list, these amount of people saw it and this is what they gave rating to it.
Right. That's very useful information.
Yeah.
I feel like friends on my drama list is kind of pointless to me. Like it doesn't really serve a purpose because you don't get any of that information easily.
I think the only purpose it has is if you have your my drama list set to private to have friends that could view it if you wanted it. But like even then it's like like I would still have to go, like they even don't make friends actually that easy to get to. It's a multiple clicks to your friends list. And then it's like then you have to go to their list and then you're brought to their homepage and then you have to go to their like lists, which I like seeing some people's lists just to see what they have, like if they watch the same types of things as me, or like if someone said something, I will usually just like if someone said I watched this drama and it was great and I wanted to like remember the name and I didn't write it down, I would just go on my own to their list and look at their completed and figure it out through there. My drama list, I like it for some things, other things it's definitely falling behind.
Because often you have to go 3 or 4 levels deep in order to find whatever information you're looking for.
Yeah, like, and there's like nice things, like I like the lists. I guess like a list could be an option if you didn't want to put stuff on your plans list. If you were doing something like Natalia does with an actor she really likes and then she has all their dramas, you could do a list of like all their dramas.
Yeah.
And those things are nice.
That would be nice.
Even then, it's what about my friends list?
Yeah.
I still have to go to their page to see it. Like the only thing that you can actually see is your list, because there's a little like drop down button near where you're like, currently watching or plan to watch or whatever. There's a drop down list to see if that is in a list. Sorry, we went on a tangent about why I like Letterboxd more.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it sounds really snazzy though.
If you're on Letterboxd, let me know. We can be friends. Like if you're into movies, because it is a movie site. There's all like a lot of other great things about it. They have like a little area where it's where you watch it, and it's like literally the link to where you can watch it. So if it's on Amazon, it's the link to Amazon to watch that movie.
Oh, that's nice.
It's set up a lot better and a lot less very old and outdated in design too, which my drama list definitely is. All right, Amanda, go ahead. How do you
All right, well, my currently watching is usually currently watching. That doesn't necessarily mean I watched it this week, but probably sometime within the past couple of weeks. Like, I kind of like to, sometimes I'll have 10 to 15 things on there, but I'll not watch it for a couple of weeks. Like some things currently watching, currently airing, it's like I gotta watch it as it's airing immediately. Other things, it's like I'll let a few episodes stack up and then I'll watch them together, So having the ability to go back and forth, it's sort of like I am actually currently ish watching it. Sometime this month I have watched it or will watch it or, get back to it. Completed is, okay, I will admit I cheat a little on completed. So, like, if it's a 24 episode C drama rom-com and it goes off the rails at 20 episodes, I'll be like, I might skip to the end, watch the last little, see how it ended, and then call it complete. Did I skip a few episodes? Yep. I figure that in the grand scheme of things, I watched that show, and in the grand scheme of things, there are other shows that I dropped after like 4 episodes, so it all balances out, really. Like, so
that makes sense.
That's, and again, it's my list, so I can do what I want. So, let's see, what's next? The Plan to Watch. Plan to Watch is a bit of a mess. It's sort of like if somebody says something sounds good, they enjoyed it, I'll throw it in there. If I like an actor, I'll throw a bunch of their stuff in there. If I, I just, it's kind of daunting to look at like 300 plus, titles and know like, yeah, I'm not getting to that, because the thing is new dramas keep coming out. So that's part of when I went through the first half of the list and cut a bunch of stuff. Mostly what I cut was anything that was more than like 2 or 3 years old. And I just said, you know what? Like, unless it's a classic, it's something that, like Coffee Prince that I haven't got to yet, but like I'm going to get to it, like there's things like that you're like, okay, I will get to it eventually. But there's a lot of things that you're just like, oh, the premise of that sounds kind of cool. I think I'd like to watch that. And then you're like, okay, but it's like 8 years old. And there's always new rom-coms coming out. There's always new sports dramas coming out. There's always new whatever that drama is coming out. So the likelihood is I'm going to watch the new one, not the 10-year-old one or the 5-year-old one. Like, so am I really going to watch that? No. So I'm trying to get rid of some of that stuff. That's just a kind of pie in the sky maybe idea, because I never go to the Plan to Watch list. Like when I'm feeling lethargic about what's on my currently watching list, I never go to the Plan to Watch list to find something new. I just like click around in YouTube for a while or Netflix, and I'm like, oh, that looks, I'll watch that, right? So Plan to Watch list is kind of dumb. So for me, I'm just not using it the way I should. So I'm going to try and make that a little bit neater for the future. Dropped is generally for me is hard dropped. Like it's not, I don't know. Sometimes I feel bad about it because I'm even like, should this even be dropped? Maybe I should not interested, because I only make it through like the first 10 minutes and I'm like, nah, I know this isn't for me, but I'll put it in dropped because at least I know I looked at it then. Like, so like Jesse was saying, if you go to, you hear somebody talking about it years later and you're like, oh, okay, maybe. And then you see like, nope, I dropped that. Oh, okay. Like it wasn't just, I give it a not interested because for whatever reason. Am I not interested? Sometimes it's because there's something traumatic in it. Like the very first thing I put in that list was what happened in Bali, because I was warned by so many people, don't ever watch this drama. So like that was the first one in the list.
Sometimes somewhere is getting it. Did we talk about this?
Yeah.
Was it Vicky?
IQIY?
Oh, IQIY.
Oh,
I don't remember. We definitely talked about it recently.
Yeah, we did.
I'm almost like, see, I'm tempted.
Just to see. Yeah.
I want to see what all the fuss is about.
I really like, I'm also that person that like, if you tell me not to do something, I'm like, well, unless I really like you, I might just do it to like ruin your day. I'm very spiteful.
So yeah, like sometimes I use that not interested for the, like you were saying, Jesse, the problematic actors that I don't want to see. So like I'm gonna throw that over there. But sometimes it's just more of like a housekeeping thing. It's like I find it's easier if you put it into the plan to watch list in the past. It's easier to just, well, maybe not easier, but it's just as easy to put it into not interested as it is to like completely delete the setting.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of, I've done this in the past. Before they had the not interested category, I would delete it, like completely delete the entry off the plan to watch, and then later wind up putting it back into the plan to watch list because somebody would mention it again or something, and I'd be like, oh, like I'll put this in. And then it's like, okay, stop, like just stop it. So yeah, I like to, when I get something out of the plan to watch list, I put it into the not interested list so that I know that, no, you've already talked about this to yourself. We've had this conversation. This is not something we're going to watch. So like, just let it go. And then my on hold tends to be something that you lost the subs for whatever reason. Like the subbers stopped subbing it, or like right now I've got Crossfire in there, which apparently is fully subbed on the high seas, but the official Chinese channel that was posting it on YouTube just stopped mid episode 3, like just was like, guess we're done. And you're like, all the episodes are there, just only subs to the middle of episode 3. And I'm like, well, maybe someday somebody will fix that. Probably not, but like, I'd really like to watch that. So, and then, yeah, like there's just a bunch of stuff on there that I started at some point, I lost the subs for, or lost interest in at the time, and I hadn't watched it. If I haven't watched it in the past like month, I'll usually move it to the on hold list. The problem is that very few things ever come back off the on hold list. So at some point, I feel like you just have to admit that like you just don't care, and so drop it. Like they're not going to come for me. The actors aren't going to, like, they aren't watching my, my stats, and why did you drop the,
They're not stalking your My Drama List page?
No, a random person in Canada. They're like, I'm going to follow her.
So I was just like, I just need to just admit that some of these things I have dropped, and I think tends to be, the on hold list tends to be more of a, like, you haven't actually, you're trying to fool yourself into believing that you haven't dropped something that I actually have dropped. So, and then the drop list.
You gotta let it go, man.
Yeah. So, and dropped is dropped. I mean, there have been things that I've dropped, I've put in the dropped pile, and then I have watched later because for whatever reason maybe for the podcast, or maybe somebody else was watching it and said, no, it doesn't actually end the way you think it ends. And so then I'll be like, oh, maybe I'll try it again or something. But generally, yeah, it's just I lost interest, or I lost subs, or I lost whatever. And do I care enough to bother? Not really. So, okay, I guess it's dropped. Like, I guess we're done here. So I've found that's one of my 2020 things, is that I've gotten a lot better about just being willing to drop them. Like being like, oh, okay, well, I enjoyed the first 4 or 5 episodes of this, and then I was bored, so bye. It's done. I'm out. I don't need to watch it. There's no law. There's no rule. There's no like.
You're like, wait, I'm
done.
not forced to finish this?
Yeah.
Interesting. What a strange concept.
And
there's no stakes on the watching I do for my own enjoyment. Oh
what?
No.
And I think I used to worry about what other people were going to think. Like if I dropped a show that was their favorite show, that I would be offending them somehow, like that I didn't like the thing that they liked. And I'm like, lots of people don't like the things I like, so and they're not worried about my feelings, so like I can just not like the things that other people like and be like, well, I guess different people have different interests, and crazy how that works. So
yeah, see, if I'm gonna care, you're gonna have to give me money. Like, it is my time. I will drop anything, but also I'll just drop the job, not interested, and that's the end of my thought process. As much as it seems like it, I don't invest that much thought into a lot of it with dramas. I'll invest a little bit more thought if it's going on my blog or something, because that just requires things, and I'm not just gonna post to post. I want the post to be meaningful, but I'm just I'm very good with even if I've liked something and watched it, just liking it and then not thinking about it again too. I'm I just like to be neutral a lot about things, or not have a lengthy discussion about it. It's just, it was a part of my life during those weeks that I watched it, and then it's gone.
And then it was gone.
Right. Just they're often that you like or dislike something, not necessarily for many reasons in particular, and not for any deep reason whatsoever.
I didn't find entertainment, and I didn't have the time, so I dropped it for another show. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's your favorite thing, I'm so glad that drama found the right owner. But at the end of the day, we're talking about dramas, and we don't also all have to be critiques about every single thing that we watch. I don't understand this need to be a critique, a critic of everything that you're doing. You could just watch something and watch it, and then just
you can just
not even talk
enjoy
about
yourself. You know?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's and if you see someone vibe into something and enjoying it, you don't have to interject with a negative opinion.
Yep.
Yeah,
you can just go, good, they're enjoying themselves, and then move on with your life, even if you didn't like the thing that they're vibing with.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I keep on saying this. We're watching dramas.
Yeah, just let people vibe, man.
It's TV, people. It's just TV.
Yeah, that's it.
Also, if anyone is new to my drama list, or you wonder what the heck we're talking about, I actually did do a blog post on our website about it, and Jesse will be nice and link that, I'm sure. So if you're curious,
we also have a whole podcast episode about it, don't we?
We have it's there. I don't think we did a super in-depth thing, because it was fun. We did a podcast about some of the different sites to track things, and the different sites to watch things. It's kind of outdated. Maybe we should do a new one sometime. But
in that blog post, though, I actually talk about, because when not just signing up, because it's easy to sign up for my drama list, but as far as figuring out how on earth you're putting something in these lists that we're talking about or whatever. So and also the pages about actors and shows that we're talking about too. If you're new to this stuff, I try to kind of hold your hand a little bit and help you through it. So go look there if you're wondering what we're talking about.
And I'll also list,
I do think,
as long as we want people's my drama lists, if you want to be friends with us. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, please do. We're there.
And
even if
I try to,
we're not always there.
Even though we just talked about how the friends list is kind of pointless, but we're there.
Hey,
you can add us.
We're still willing to be friends.
I'm still willing to accept yes.
Yeah. And we do try to keep the currently watching list is not, I do not try to keep track of what everybody is actually currently watching, but all the currently watching stuff is usually there. So if you're curious if we're watching something, you can go check the list and see if it's on there. It means one of us at least is watching it. So we'll still probably be willing to chat with you about it. And we do have a lot of custom lists as well of things that we recommend. So, which is a feature on my personal drama list that I really like. I mean, I always keep a current, my 2020 watch list has, I know that I've completed 46 titles this year because it's in my special 2020 list. So, the custom lists are nice. that's a nice function.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you for stopping in and listening to another episode of the Certified Noonas. Unless you're new here, then welcome. Welcome to this chaos. Feel free to go. We have all of our episodes are on our website, CertifiedNoonas.com, where you can just go back and you can listen to anything we've ever published, spoken word-wise, for anyone to listen to. And we are found pretty much everywhere podcasts are broadcast. So you can find us anywhere you want. And we are still taking submissions for our cookbook. Please send us your recipes. We want them. We want them so bad. What else? We have face masks in the store now. If you want some pimp swag and help support the podcast, you can do that by going to CertifiedNoonas.com, clicking the little merch button at the top of the page, and getting some swag, as it were. Thank you for listening. We hope you have a safe week, and you're all just taking care of yourselves and enjoying, trying to enjoy life as much as you can. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and just, keep vibing, man. All right, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.